Yeah, like he happened to be gone the second week of July, which is when I had booked my plane ticket for. So I'm like, that's wild. Hello and welcome to Central Park. I figured I would hop on here and do a little bit of a check-in. It's been about 2 weeks. I realized as I was going through the editing process that my videos kind of jumped. There was going to be another one that was kind of in between the two that I recently posted, but that one ended up being just very dicey. I guess not dicey, like the other one was just very fragmented. And I would have had to like hop in a lot and fill things in. So I was like, you know what, let's just start fresh. Let's just go ahead and give you the lowdown of what happened leading up to being able to actually get on the plane to come to New York, and then how it's been in the past couple of weeks. So yeah, getting on the plane, it happened really fast. I had booked the plane ticket a month, maybe more prior, less than 2 months, I think, prior to the departure date. I was like, you know what, let's go ahead and buy it, because the thing is I could always buy the insurance for it. It's just like an extra like 20 or 30 bucks, right? And I can cancel if I need to cancel. But that still is likely to be a lot cheaper than if I wait and then decide to buy a ticket at the last minute. So I was like, let's just go ahead, and it'll be our way of just, you know, also trying to further manifest it actually happening. As all of that was going on, I was preparing for a performance that I had in Phoenix, and I was a little distracted with that. That's what I wanted to also film the last video on, but again, it just, so many things ended up just kind of being messy throughout that process that I was kind of unable to do so. But yeah, in the process of all of this, I was talking to a friend who was already currently living here, who I knew from college. She had said that, you know, there was a possibility maybe that I would be able to sublease a room in her apartment, because she knew that her roommate was going to be leaving for some time during the summer. I got right on that, and I was like, I would be super interested if that ends up being an available thing. And she's like, okay, that sounds great. Hear nothing about it. So I booked the plane ticket before all of this conversation happened, by the way. But yeah, a week goes by, nothing. I'm like, okay, I don't want to be annoying, but like I'm gonna go ahead and just like text her again, just in case, because if it's a no, it's a no. But like, let's try to, you know, make sure that we keep the communication going at the very least. And she's still trying to get her roommate to talk to me, right? She gives me how much it would cost, all the little details and everything, and she's like, can I get your, you know, can I give him your contact info? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, I'm interested. He does not reach out. I had to like talk to her again another week later. I don't know him. I don't want to be invasive, intrusive, or whatever. Like, is he the type of person who's going to say yes, but really it's a no sort of thing? Because like, you know, I don't want to be making anybody uncomfortable or anything, right? And this sort of thing keeps going back and forth. And I have my performance weekend, and I'm at Fan Fusion, and you know, people are of course talking to me, asking me, you know, if I'm going to be going to New York still, and I'm like, I hope so. I'm planning to go next week, but you know, I don't know still at this point in time if I have a place to stay. Also important to know, subleasing, I think, at least for where I currently am with my circumstances, was going to be the best option, right? I looked into hostels, because I'm not opposed to hostels since I did that a lot in Europe. It would be minimum before fees and everything, $100 a night. And I'm like, I'm gonna bust through my money like in a week if I do that. Like, that's not going to be practical. And so I had actually been thinking about making a tangent. I'm like, maybe we go to Nashville instead. That was my other thought, is like, if New York doesn't work out, Nashville is still another music capital of the world, and really I just want to be around more professional musicians, and I want to, you know, get more exposure and have more experiences and everything, right? So that started to kind of formulate as a possible backup plan of like, cancel the ticket, wait a couple more weeks, and buy another ticket, go to Nashville instead. I only told like 2 or 3 people about this because I did not want to go through a whole nother thing about like, what's the plan, you know, and people thinking I'm even crazier for like switching it up from New York, right? Because at this point in time, the fact that I don't have a solid plan, it stresses everybody out, and they think that I'm just illogical, irrational, you know, reckless, absolutely reckless, right? Well, I was talking to one of my friends, and he said, the New York thing's gonna work out. You're gonna be at dinner tonight, and you're gonna check your phone, and everything's gonna be right there, set up. And I'm like, I hope you're right. I really hope you're right. I ended up going to dinner with my brother and his girlfriend, and that's exactly what happened. My friend ended up texting me, and she's like, oh my gosh, it's official. I was able to like communicate enough with my roommate, and we have it set up and everything. And I'm like, that's great. Yeah, like he happened to be gone the second week of July, which is when I had booked my plane ticket for. So I'm like, that's wild. It wasn't like to the day or anything like that, but right, like it came through, like I didn't have to adjust, right? Like the ticket that I bought fit perfectly within the time that was needed for the sublease, give or take a few days. That's how I got here. It all happened really fast. I was finished with my performance at Fan Fusion for the weekend. I had like 2 days to pack and everything. The day before I was about to go, I actually had to go to the dentist because my filling fell out. I know, yeah, a filling fell out. I felt a huge gap in my teeth, and I'm like, that's really weird. What's going on here? I go get it checked out, and they're like, oh, that's too perfect. Yeah, I think a filling did fall out or whatever. So I had to go do that. That was another $600+ that I was not expecting to spend. And I'm actually doing a payment plan for that right now, which makes the pressures feel even more intense at this moment in time, because I'm like, okay, I am having to still very much figure out everything while I'm here. Like we're still operating under the, we'll just figure out the next step. There is no definitive plan model, which is both really exciting and it does add pressure, not gonna lie. But I gotta say, once I got here, things have been working out. I mean, obviously my first initial stay has worked out just fine, but also I know where my next stay is going to be and the stay after that as well. And so I am very excited that I have a couple of things lined up at this point in time. In terms of work stuff, my friend is also a musician, a theater girl and everything. And so she has a lot of weird, odd jobs and stuff. So she's just like throwing a lot of stuff at me like, hey, why don't you try this? Why don't you try this? And I'm saying yes to everything at this point. I'm like, okay, what can I do to be able to solidify things a little bit more, right? Like I need income now. That's the next biggest challenge, is like, how do we get the income going in order to be able to sustain this? Nothing has fully landed yet. I was supposed to be able to be an usher for an event a few days ago. However, they ended up having a travel advisory warning in the city because of the rain. And so the event ended up being canceled because it was actually supposed to be in Central Park. And so unfortunately, I was not able to make that extra $100 or so. However, unexpected money has come through. I had a friend send me some money, and I wasn't expecting that. It was very, very kind, very, very generous. The other unexpected thing that came through is that I sold my furniture to this woman months ago. Her and I actually performed at one of the same venues and one of the same shows at one point. And so that's how we ended up kind of like connecting. And she asked me randomly out of nowhere, she's like, hey, I'm going to be like recording some of my music. I know that you're in New York now. Like, could I potentially like get some voice lessons from you? I know it'd be virtual, but like I'm okay with that. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, we can set that up and everything. So we have a voice lesson set for next week, so that'll be a little bit of extra cash, which is helpful. But at this point in time, it's still only kind of like paying for like a grocery run or my fare for the week, which, like, hey, not gonna complain, we have to take what we can get, right? But like, we need to figure out how can we get to the point of like being able to actually like consistently pay rent, you know? That hasn't fully come through yet. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I'm hopeful, I'm excited. In terms of artist stuff, I did do an open mic night. Here's some footage.
Hey everybody, I'm Allie and I just moved to New York this week. So come say hi so that way I can make friends and not be lonely in the city.
From where?
From Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh.
It's hot over there. Yeah. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm afraid of the winter. I think that that's gonna be really hard for me, but I don't know. We'll get used to it. We'll figure it out. Yeah. All right. This is a song called Permission.
So yeah, I did that within my first week, which was really cool. And it was really, really well received. I got a lot of compliments. I think people liked my style and stuff. And then I actually got asked to perform in a showcase for next month, which I need to follow up on and make that actually official. But I thought that that was so cool that I immediately got offered like a 20 to 30 minute time slot for a show. I was like, are you serious? Like, that's so cool. So things are definitely like working out. It's one of those things where I'd say, I think the magic of it is that I'm letting things unfold naturally. And if I had expectations of how it would look, I think that it'd be a lot more stressful and a lot harder to navigate. However, because I'm kind of in this flow, it's like one of those things where it's like, it's not what you think it looks like, right? Like, to give you an idea, a girl's really trying to stay on a budget here. Listen, today I went to the library to officially get my library card, so that way I could also use it to get culture passes. I don't know how many you can get. It says one a year, but I don't know if that's one attraction per year or if that is one a year, like choose your attraction, you're done. I'll have to update you on that. And then of course you get 2 people admission for 2, so I'll have to ask one of my friends if they want to come. I've made some friends here too already, like in addition to people that I already knew here, which is also bananas and wild and super fun. So yeah, I don't know, I met a girl on a park bench and we became friends. We haven't hung out yet, but like hopefully. And then I'm going to be going to a song release tomorrow from a friend that I met from open mic, and then the next day these other 2 girls that I met at open mics, they're twins and they are going to be having a concert, and so I was like, yeah, I bought a ticket to go do that. So I am doing some fun stuff, but also like some of my adventures right now include standing outside of Carnegie Hall or going to the breakfast at Tiffany and standing outside the window because, you know, I won't be, I can't go inside. I'm on that tax bracket yet, right? So it's a lot of just kind of standing in places and being like, I'm here. This is real. Like, if you're into the whole manifestation visualization thing, then I feel like it's the best way to do it, right? I'm like, I'm in front of these places. I might have a little bit of limitations in terms of how I can interact with them at this moment in time, but like, I'm here. And I don't know how expensive Carnegie Hall tickets range. And I know that you can get Like, you can go see an opera at the Met for $25, are like the cheapest ones, especially if you go like an hour before. I think they'll usually give you whatever seats are better, you know, that are available at that time. There's ways to do these things. It's just that I'm trying to really stick within a budget right now, like rice and beans. I'm making Thai curry at home. I've eaten out a few times. I had pizza. I had a bagel in Brooklyn that was really good. And then I've discovered like my favorite matcha place, which is also fantastic. And I really wanted to get a matcha over here in Central Park, except I denied myself. I was like, no, because if we're going to be spending from the matcha budget, then we should go to the place that we know that we like, because the first matcha that I had here was not the best, was not my favorite. And if my matcha budget is limited right now, then we're going to stick to what we've discovered is already good until I start to have more disposable income, to where I'm like, yeah, you know what? If this matcha is not good, then I'll just get another one tomorrow, right? Can I do that right now? Technically, sure, but it's all about trying to prioritize, right? And right now I'm trying to prioritize having a little bit more financial comfort in the spaces where I can. So being willing to cook at home. I think somebody's singing opera in there. I might want to go check that out. But yeah, Whole Foods is supposed to be one of the cheapest places to get groceries, that and Trader Joe's. And I'm like, really? That is so insane. So I've been doing a lot of those. I guess like the local places end up being more expensive. I haven't explored that too much, but I've been trusting the advice of my friend, of my other current roommates and everything as well. There's 4 of us in the apartment. But it is a lot of fun though. I'm kind of like bummed that this isn't maybe a more long-term sort of thing, because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's kind of like we're like on New Girl or Friends or something. I don't know, like we're not like that close, but I see like potential for it being that, like, you know, like it could be that if we were all to stay a lot longer. But I'm the subletter, so I will be kicked out, and they will go on living their beautiful dreams. But it's okay. I'm sure that wherever I end up next is going to be amazing as well. I'm trying to think of what else. I think the only other thing, I'm very heavily distracted by the music that's happening over there. I hear Omega Babino Caro. I guess if I want to be wild and crazy at some point, I can try the whole busking thing. Some of my friends have done it. I would want better ideas on how to go about that, but I think before I'd be brave enough to give it a go. But speaking of music, the other thing I was about to mention is Okay, anyway, I'm getting very distracted. The other thing I was going to mention that is music related is that, believe it or not, it is kind of hard to be able to like get some time on pianos over here. Like, my friend has a little like 60 something key keyboard, unweighted of course, and it's good for vocal warm-ups. It's good if I want to practice a little bit of like, you know, the fingering on Bach or something like that, but actually being able to practice. So I ended up having to go to a studio where like you rent a room for an hour, but it's like $22 to rent for an hour on like an upright. So yeah, it kind of adds up. So it will be nice to eventually have a more permanent space, because then at that point I can focus on trying to get a keyboard and being able to have a place to actually practice regularly. But either that and or maybe I end up being able to find some sort of music job where I have regular access to pianos. But that is one thing that I wasn't expecting to be quite as hard. And obviously, like, you can hop into a music store here and there, but like it's hard to be able to get like a good practice session in with that. And you don't have all the privacy. There's just so much. So I don't know what things are gonna look like with that. It's kind of keeping me on my toes in terms of like, oh, okay, I'd like to perform more, but I'd also like to be able to like warm up and practice before I go. And I either have to choose to just say to heck with it and just go for it without being able to like practice that day, which is hard because I'm like, there's so many things that I'd perform that I'm like, I haven't performed in months. Or you have to bite the bullet and find the practice space or buy it, right? So that's one of the other things that I think is a little bit tricky at this moment in time. I'm trusting that that is going to unfold nicely as well. That's kind of all I can think of right now. If you want to see more content, I have been posting on TikTok, especially if I go to specific sites and everything. I've been trying to be good about just like making a TikTok about that specific place, or if I'm trying a food or something like that, because it's just a lot easier to be able to get that short content in and out sort of thing, versus here I have to kind of sit through it and then I have to go through the editing process. So that's why there were a lot of gaps between the past two videos, because I'm having to live it, you know, like as much as I'd love to document it, I'm having to also just live it. There have been a lot of really fun things and it feels so good to be here. There's also been a lot of just boring sitting on the computer for days and filling out applications. So yeah, I've had plenty of days of literally just sitting in the apartment, nose to my screen, trying to figure out what to apply for. But fingers crossed, with having put so much effort into various things, that the right opportunity is going to come up at the time when it is most aligned. And in the meantime, I'm trying to make sure that I have a good sense of balance, going out with my friends when they ask me to and stuff, and making sure that I take time to come do things like this, coming and sitting in Central Park. Anyway, the wind is picking up a little bit and I think that I'm gonna go ahead and get going home, so that way I can start cooking dinner, since I'm still very much eating at home right now. You know, the more we do that, the more we can justify having a matcha here and there. But thank you so much for being on the journey with me and watching these videos. And I guess we get to kind of watch how the story unfolds together. I don't know. I think we're in the phase where things are maybe exciting with there being no plan. So I'm at least excited. I'll see you in the next one.